Hey kiddos, today we're going to look at the reproductive structures of angiosperms or flowering plants and the purpose of the flower. So I want to show you how to get into your Gizmo to work on that so that you can write your CRQ. If you are in bio sections 4 and 5, your class code is over here, NTT5WB. Bio section 1, your class code is 24RXMQ. Section 3, class code HLRMW3, and bio section 2, 7JHXXX. And of course, we're at www.explorelearning.com to get to our gizmos. And so after you enter your class code and log in, you go ahead, click on the lab. It's pollination flower to fruit. Launch it. And it'll look something like this. I want you to make sure you click on open view. We want to see the inside of the flower, and then you're just going to go ahead and label the parts of the flower. So if you put the part in the wrong place, it will still show that you got it wrong. If you put the part in the right place, it will show that you got it right. So this number will tick up down here every time you get a part right. So I'll put another one in here, the sepal, and I put it in the wrong spot, so this number didn't go up. If I put it here, I put it in the right spot, so this number went up. So you want to make sure you get all the parts of the flower correct, and this will say that you have 14 correct out of 14. The other thing you're going to want to do after you get the flower parts labeled, click on this box here. It says show information about selected parts of the flower, and what you'll see there is information about what that part does. So if I go back here and click on anther, it tells me that the anther is the structure that contains the pollen. If I click on sepal, this is the floral leaf or individual segment of the flower. It protects the bud while it was maturing. Because you're going to use this information to write your CRQ in a little bit. So after you get all the parts labeled, you can go over here and play with the pollination/fertilization part of the lab. I would choose, you can pick self-pollination or cross-pollination, it doesn't matter. In self-pollination, the flower will self-pollinate, so its pollen from its own pollen will land and pollinate the flower, or you can do cross-pollination. So I'm going to reset it and just show you cross-pollination, but same process. So it says use the mouse to move some pollen grains from one flower to another. So I'll grab some pollen like I was a bee. Bzzz. I know that's silly. And I will put it on that flower. And then it says pollen grains stick to the stigma. So the top here, we have the pollen grains sticking to the stigma. And then it says click pollen tubes to watch the growth of the tubes, and you can see the pollen tubes form and the sperm cells move to the bottom of the flower. And then it says drag several sperm cells from the pollen tubes to the ovules. So now we're in the ovary of the flower, and I'm going to drag some of the pollen, which contains, well, these are sperm cells now, into the ovules, which are tiny little eggs, right? Now I'll drag that one into there, it doesn't matter. And it says after the ovules have been fertilized by the available sperm cells which came from the pollen, the petals will fall off. Click on petals to make them fall off. So if you've ever looked at flowers and eventually their petals fall off, that's because they now have fertilized eggs. And now this happens pretty quick once I get rid of this last flower. So you might want to watch this a couple times. To see what happens next after the flower petals fall off. I don't know why they show it so fast, but they do. And it says after the anther dries up and falls off, the ovary begins to grow a pulpy protective layer around the new seeds. The mature ovary is called the fruit. It protects the seeds as they develop and helps to spread the seeds once they reach maturity. The small green leaflets, the sepals, dry up and eventually fall off of the mature fruit. That's the part you cut off, right? Like if you eat a strawberry and you cut that part off, right? We don't eat that part. So we're going to use this to write our CRQ today, mostly this section for writing our CRQ.